Hey, Dave, haven't seen you for a while. What's up, brother?
Hey,
Dave,
man,
let's
it's
go.
like reconnecting. It's unbelievable.
I'm telling you.
Unbelievable.
Well, let's get busy. Uh, Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my place. My name is Goody, co-founder of that cookie in a bag, that snack you didn't know you were waiting for, Goody's granola. And I'd like you to meet the one and only, the famous or infamous David Morris. David, say hello, brother.
Hey, hello, Alan. A cookie in a bag, right? Everybody needs a cookie in a bag.
Everybody
So
needs a
I
cookie.
hope, I hope everybody's going to run out right now and get a cookie in a bag. But wait just a minute until this podcast is over.
That's
But
it,
get
brother.
that. I've had the cookie in the bag,
What
and
you,
I can
what
tell
you
you,
think of it?
it was a life-changing experience.
Yeah, that's good. Never have it again, huh?
I'm telling you, like the only problem with Goody's granola is that you can't stop eating it.
Well, that's what I had. You know what? When I first started making it, and I was selling to these salesmen at Bay Ridge Honda. Shout out Bay Ridge Honda. And one guy goes, he goes, "What are you doing, man? You're putting crack in this stuff." I can't stop eating this stuff, and I'm living in the bathroom. But true testament to Goody's granola.
True testament.
Anyway, let's get back to business.
Okay,
First of all, this is our third meeting, I
it
believe,
is. It is.
and I think it gets better every time. But I want people to know who you are. I want to read a little bit about your bio, which I am immensely impressed with. You are an award-winning writer, an artist, filmmaker, marketing and advertising professional whose career spans some 35 years. And
Okay,
this
that is correct.
bio is from almost 8 years ago.
That's correct.
All right. So I
Yep,
mean, expands more than you're looking at 40 some odd years.
40 plus years. Yeah,
And what is amazing is you were telling me that you've been doing this like since you were 15.
I did. I sold my first cartoon and magazine article when I was
Okay.
15 years old. I was in high school.
I want to put a cartoon up, by the way,
Okay.
that you've done. Because I am amazed at your diversity. Is that it? Hold on. This might be another 40 minutes.
I know, the marvels of technology, right? It was so much simpler when we had black and white TV. But
Okay.
just to fill that in, I was in high school studying art at one of these high schools, like the High School of Art and Design in New York, right? Similar kind of situation in Ottawa.
You were in New
But
York studying.
no, I was in Ottawa studying,
Okay.
and I went to a high school similar to the High School of Art and Design in New York, and because I thought I was going to have a career as an artist. So, in fact, if yeah, that's the cartoon character that
This is Waldo.
I created when I was 15 years old.
And this is what you drew? This is all you?
Yep,
Wow, it's amazing. It really is. It's amazing.
yeah, that
Now,
was. I don't even know where that came from. I have no idea. But I can tell you that I discovered underground comics from the States. A couple of friends of mine in school were hippies, and they said, "Oh, hey Dave, you gotta look at these underground comics, man, like the Fabulous Freak Brothers and or Robert Crumb and Spain Rodriguez and all these guys." And it really opened my head right up because I said, "These people are drawing everything; like they have no limits." And I said, "Well, I can." I did something which was my thing. It was really the you talk about inspiration. The underground comic artists said you can really do anything you want. And I'd grown up watching cartoons and Bugs Bunny, Popeye, like all the other kids, and the Walt Disney stuff. And I always liked the anarchist aspect of cartoons rather than the Disney thing. So Popeye, which was very existential, and Bugs Bunny again, which was totally nihilistic stuff, really appealed to me. But the underground artists had a sense of social justice And when I invented Waldo, Waldo was kind of the outsider. Like he never talks, you know, and he tries to live life in a very normal way, but he knows there's something different about him. And this particular comic strip you have up, I had done in the 90s because I thought about bringing him back. And I thought, well, how has he been since I first created him? He moved out to the suburbs, you know, and he had a normal job. He ate pizza and, you know, wore a tie to work. But at night he dreamed of being a superhero again. And and that I think is really sums up how I look at my own life. You know, when you grow up as an artist, people look at you in a very strange way, and they go, you draw things," and they ask you to take a sheet of paper and do something for them, and you always get in trouble because you can never concentrate on anything that's normal. Your mind is always wandering, and that's really the thread that runs throughout my life is that anything that I've done, I've tried to be, you know, as good as I can be at it, but I have this curiosity, just won't quit. And that I guess I'm sort of preempting the question you're asking me about where do I get my inspiration. I have no idea where it comes from. It's just I've been a kid my whole life, and you know, as I enter, I mean, I hate to say, you know, the finishing this sixth, seventh decade. I mean, I don't feel I don't feel like I've aged 1 year. I
Well,
feel
most
like
of us,
I'm
you know,
getting younger all the time.
most of us are like that.
Yeah,
You know, your mind is still like you're 20. You're still like almost a Woodstock, but then trying to get out of bed might take you a little longer, and
it
you know,
might.
little body aches and that kind of stuff. But your mind, thank God, our minds are still there. But part of your bio here said you've done stuff for Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I did. I first came to New York. A buddy of mine was working on the Star Wars comic book, and he said, "Would you like to work on that with me?" And I didn't know anything about it. We didn't know Star Wars. I mean, there was no Star Wars. There was a script.
Well, who was
Okay,
the guy? Do you know? Do you remember?
a guy by the name of Howard Chaykin. Howard's a very well-known comic book artist. Howard's still busy today doing comic books, and Howard said, "Yeah, I need somebody to help me with the layouts." So we had this movie script, and we had to make a comic book out of it because they sold the rights to Marvel, and nobody knew what Star Wars is going to be. And I was reading it saying, "Who's going to go and see this movie?" And we're laying out the comic book, and you know Howard's drawing furiously, and it got inked up and was published as a very large format comic book. And then the movie came out. We went to see it at the I think it was the Empire on 63rd Street.
I don't
Um,
know.
anyway, there's a movie theater on 63rd
Isn't the
near Sixth
Empire down
Avenue.
the village on Sixth
Um,
Avenue, down by East by West?
Might be, yeah. Maybe I'm thinking of
I think it's
another
West
movie
Fourth
theater. But then
Street.
it was a big multiplex, one of those big, you know, um, uh, Cineplex kind of things up on just off Sixth Avenue or Broadway, and we went into the theater. It was packed, and suddenly there was a Star Wars phenomenon. And who knew, right? And I did a couple of other things for Marvel. They had a humor magazine called Cracked. I did some cartoons for that for an artist named Larry Hama, and you know, you
You know,
just
looking
kind of
at
progress.
some of
And
your
then I got into
National
the ad business.
Lampoon, National
Yeah,
Lampoon you got down
I
here.
did that. I was still living in Montreal, and I had gone down to New York, and they put me together with a Canadian writer named Ted Mann, and he said, "I want you to write a comic strip about Canada called about North Bay, Ontario, where I'd never been." And I would go back to Montreal. And I asked my friend, I said, "What am I going to write about? I mean, I don't know anything about North Bay." And he said, "Well, just draw anything, and you know, just draw like the dumbest thing you can think of, and it'll be funny, because everybody thinks Canadians are dumb." So I did this, you know,
Hey, hey.
wild, yeah, exactly. I did this wild comic strip, and the writer in New York loved it, and then you know that was just sort of the start of my career in America, because I eventually went down and I got into the advertising business, and I was very lucky. I worked with a Japanese advertising agency. You know, I got all my Visa and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm reading that
And
now where you work with
yeah,
Shell Oil,
and
Nintendo.
yeah,
Yeah,
Nintendo had
yeah.
all kinds of great clients. So that really launched me into a career in my 20s that I never would have anticipated. And I put my skills as a cartoonist to work, essentially learning how to make movies. So,
Yeah, I
you're
see this.
in your 20s and you got like $1 million budget to make a TV commercial. Like you're just like it's like making a feature film with, how many millions of dollars, right?
I want to ask you another question. Like you said 15, and we talked about you constantly working, but there was a time where you said like for maybe 1 or 2 years you had to do something like in the car business and
Well, that was later in
I
my
know, but what
career,
I'm trying
much,
to
much
get at
later. Yeah.
here is that you've been very fortunate that most of your adult life, starting from your teenage years, you have worked in something that you have a passion for. Now, I just
Yeah, I am very fortunate.
yeah,
Yeah.
but what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at here, besides your talent, your immense talent, is it connections? Is it being at the right place at the right time? Did you have a plan? Was there a lot of luck involved? You know,
I think you know the rapper Pitbull, right?
you know.
Okay, so Pitbull's being interviewed, and everybody says, "Hey, Chico, you're so lucky," and he says, "Yeah, man, the harder the work, the luckier I get." And that's the thing about me. I never complained about not being able to get work. Okay, I never gave up on my belief in myself. I always said, somewhere out there, somebody's going to want to give me a gig, and I just kept pounding the pavement and pounding the pavement, pounding the pavement until I got something. And when I got something, I made something out of it. And a lot of
That's
people,
what I'm saying. Is
yeah,
that element of passion of just determination.
oh, determination.
You
It's it's
need that
it's all
so
determination.
much. It's like you get rejected and rejected, and people tell
Yeah,
you well now, and you got to say like excuse me, but fuck it. This is what
yeah,
I do, and you're
yeah.
going to find that person that's going to say, "Wow, I like this stuff."
Yeah. Yeah, and
You know,
they give you a break. I mean, that's what it is. You just gotta, there's an old saying, right? If they slam the door in your face, climb in through the window. And that's what I've done my whole life.
it's
I never, ever, ever gave up on myself, and that's what it is. I mean, luck has something to do with it, but it's really saying I'm going to make this work, and you don't know how, but you find a way.
okay. Now, I want to get back to some more of your artwork.
Sure.
This picture here is I love it. It's just I first met you in your artwork. You were into your face, a
Yeah.
man of a million, not 1,000 faces, but a million faces.
Yeah.
And you've taken that and you have, I mean, an endless thing of different stuff with the same theme, which is
Hmm.
unbelievable. Now, it might not be the same thing to you, but to a layman like myself, there's a certain theme there
Hmm.
you expand on, but this is totally something different.
Well,
Uh,
that was a piece I did when I was 15, 16. I
you got a lot
loved.
of work done when you were 15,
Oh
16.
yeah, yeah, that was an incredible period. I mean, I can tell you, I think that's the most creative period of my life because I discovered that I could be an artist. And when I went to the High School of Art in Ottawa. Canadian arts are very skillful. They have great reputations around the world in the fine arts area, but a lot of them were teaching. And so my teachers were very accomplished artists. They weren't necessarily famous, but technically they were extremely good. But their ability, their craftsmanship, their knowledge of technique was really pretty amazing. And this is an etching I did based on a film by Ingmar Bergman, The Seventh Seal. And I was very entranced by that film. That the character, the knight, who meets death in the form of the devil, and the devil challenges him to a chess game, with the stakes being his life. And what the knight doesn't know is he's already dead. And that character in that particular etching is not the character that Max von Sydow plays in the film. That was based on a combination of myself and a friend of mine as young men wondering about our destiny. So here I am, in that film, the Ingmar Bergman film, and I'm looking at the chessboard and the pieces are flying away. And that was my view of life at the time. I
I love
really
it.
didn't know
Great.
what was going to happen to me.
What happened to this piece? Do you know?
I
You-
still have a print from that series. There were 15 of them done, and all of them have disappeared except one.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
thanks.
Now, we want to get to another one here, or next one here. Tell me this is another 15-year-old
Yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe I was 16 then,
Okay,
and
you're
I was,
maturing. This is a maturing
yeah, that
piece.
was the next phase. Well, I was also fascinated by surrealism, and there's an Italian artist named Alberto Giacometti, whose sculptures, you see the figures in the lower part of the piece. Those are similar to the elongated figures that characterize Giacometti's work. He did all his sculptures and his drawing of these very elongated people, and that had made a huge impression on me. And so I combined that with my interest in mysticism. I saw a film by Alejandro Jodorowsky called El Topo, which was a midnight cult classic. And this is stuff I was watching. I was watching Fellini films and Bergman films and Kubrick films, and reading existential poetry at 15 and 16. Okay, so I'm doing this. One night I do this painting of a figure, a winged figure, flying over what is, I guess, effectively a cemetery. And again, that was my existential reflection as a teenager. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I going? And because I felt liberated, I just allowed myself to do whatever came into my head. And
Let
I'm
me say,
amazed looking at it, because I look at it, it's watercolor, it's ink, it's gouache, and it's pen. And I'm looking at it, I'm going like, how did I do that? Where did that come from?
I love it.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
just
It's one of
love
my
it.
favorite pieces.
You have this too? You have a print of this too? What
No,
else?
this is an original.
You have the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Next. Okay. The faces. This is on
Yes.
a hoodie.
This is the woman series. My partner, she said to me, "Oh, you do great stuff. Why don't you do t-shirts and hoodies?"
I
So,
told you I want a t-shirt done.
well,
These
you've
granola.
got one. You pick one out. I'll send you the link to my T Public website. I
No,
did a
I
number.
want one for Goody's granola, not for me. I want
We're going to get one. We're going to do one specially for you.
All right, brother.
But I said, why not? Because the T-shirt is it's the art form. You know, people wear art, and so I did a series. There's a website called T Public, TEE Public, and I put up about 10 or 12 designs on there, and just to see how they look. And I did a couple of prints of those T-shirts, and my lady friend she has one, and she looks phenomenal, of course, because it's a portrait of her. And I did a very long iteration of this theme in black, white, red, and gray. And this is the story based on a story that I wrote, an ongoing series of stories I've been writing about the poet and his muse. The poet is chasing that elusive woman who inspires him. He's in love with her, but he can't have her. If he falls in love with her, he condemns himself to eternal suffering. And going over this theme again and again and again and again, I find richness in that face, and doing it in countless iterations.
We're going to
I've
get
been drawing
more,
this character since I was a teenager.
but we're going to get more into this, but I want to do a couple of other pieces.
Sure.
And then I want to concentrate on this and show how crazy it gets.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here, this one here.
Oh yeah.
This this got to be, this is not 15 years old.
No. This is a piece from 1990.
Okay.
I had a show in Miami, and I had a big painting show in Miami with a photographer by the name of Ali Miranda, wonderfully talented Cuban-born photographer. All his work's in black and white. He's a very interesting surrealistic nudes, and of course has done a whole lot of other things. Ali is a tremendous talent, and the director of the Coconut Grove Playhouse, Jordan Bach, said, I want to put you guys together for a show at a pop-up gallery on Lincoln Road. Now, Lincoln Road was like derelict at the time in South Beach. Okay, this is before South Beach really exploded. And we did a pop-up show, and everybody was anybody came to that show. I had, I think, about 20 paintings, and Ali had 20 photographic prints. The place was packed. And this piece is 4 foot by 6 foot. And I have no idea where this came from. I was doing a series of paintings for the show, and this came out of nowhere. And I was obsessed with toggle switches and musical signatures. And you see, the end of a gun barrel in there, and I'm going like, what's going on here? And the painting just took me over, and I was wrestling with this thing for months. I'd go into my studio, I'd look at this, and I say, I hate this painting. And then the painting would say, no, you're not finished with me yet. And I kept painting and painting and painting, and then finally this came out. And I think my principal inspiration for this, you talk about Russian roots. I love the art of the Russian surrealist Vasily Kandinsky. He's Russian Polish. And by the way, I spent a lot of time in Poland, which is why we're also connected, because the Polish-Russian interchange is very, very powerful. And so without knowing, I'd never been to Poland when I painted this piece. Without knowing this, I was actually anticipating my trip to Poland, which happened 2 years later. And this piece is now in my home.
This is like not even you. I wouldn't think that you would do anything like this.
It was something I really didn't anticipate. It's it's acrylic, it's house paint, it's stove enamel, it's spray paint. I mean, it was just like everything.
This is great though, kind of like setting you free a little bit.
Yeah.
Taking you out of your box.
Yeah.
And just letting you do your thing, man. It's
just jazz. I mean, I love jazz music. One of my favorite jazz artists. I love Charles Mingus. I love Eric Dolphy. I love John Coltrane. But Eric Dolphy and Charles Mingus really opened my head up. Dolphy was a brilliant saxophone player. Mingus was a great bassist, composer, and pianist. And I saw Mingus play in my teens in Montreal. And these men were people who cared about nothing except art. Okay, that was it. The art of their music was everything. Their philosophy was everything. Their going against the grain was everything. And when I was in art college in the early 70s, I met some painters who were very famous and unfortunately passed on. Graham Coftry was a brilliant Canadian painter, and he was a jazz musician. And Graham taught me how to connect jazz and paint. And it was just set yourself free. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. Play what you want.
That's what you did here.
Live the way you want.
This is you creating jazz.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you about something. Is you said this was like a pop-up show.
Yeah.
When you do like an exhibit, which you've done a few of them, I would imagine.
Yeah.
How much time do they give you? How do you prepare? Like when did you know that this would? When do you know when you're done?
You never know. You're doing a piece, and for example, somebody says you can have a show. Like getting a show in a gallery is very difficult because the gallery network is a very closed network.
Right.
If you go to big galleries like Leo Castelli or Gagosian in New York, that art market, Art Basel, the Venice Biennale, all that whole circle is a closed circle of people who know each other. And when you're an outsider, trying to get in is almost impossible. I mean, if you're
almost like theater. Theater is the same.
It is. It is the same.
It's like you have guys that run these beautiful theaters, and it's more like a repertory thing. It's a clique.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to break through that door.
Yeah, it's like the Schubert organization in New York, right? I mean, they put on a play like Amadeus. Well, why Amadeus and why not, somebody else's play? And then you have the theater downtown, the Astor Place Theater. You have all this Broadway, off Broadway, all these different levels. And the art world is really like that as well. It's very hierarchical. And being in Miami, it was a very free artistic world. There was nothing happening, and so we found this derelict space and turned it into a gallery for one night. So I was painting like a maniac. I just finished a, uh, a session, an artist retreat funded by the National Endowment for the Arts at the Atlantic Center for the Arts, and they said, you can paint, you can still have a career, but it's going to be different because you're not in New York. And so this is one of the pieces from that period. I just painted like a maniac for months.
This is from there too?
Yeah,
This piece here?
it was based on an old photograph I had of a Las Vegas showgirl in the 1960s, and I had the photograph in my archives, and I used it as a basis for this painting of a woman trying to break free, and I just attacked this piece the same way I did the painting, and you can see this is handmade paper from Germany, and I ordered it from a company called Zander, and it was a paper called elephant hide, and it literally was like elephant hide. I mean, this really thick handmade paper. It was like canvas, and I just started painting this thing, and the woman's image, was sitting beside me in my studio, and I said, okay, that's the one I'm going to do. And I started painting this thing, and it was just this fast, furious, um, you know, gesture, Jackson Pollock style.
How long did it
Uh,
take you to do this?
Maybe I finished it in a couple of hours. I
No
mean, I thought
kidding.
about it for years and years and years, and then it was over in a couple of hours.
Wow.
It was like a Jackson Pollock painting. I mean, I love Pollock.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love
Jackson
this stuff.
Pollock to me, is one of the great tragedies of the 20th century because this artist was so talented, and he was the first jazz painter. You know, and so every time I look at this, I think of seeing my first Jackson Pollock and going like, "What is this? It's just unbelievable."
Here you go.
This piece is a little bit off the board because I had directed a documentary film for a company that was developing technology for end stage renal disease, and I did a documentary of people being treated for kidney disease and had kidney replacements, and one of them was a 6-year-old girl. One of them was a um, a man who was in his mid 30s, who was a black guy from Overtown in Miami, who was going for dialysis. One of them was a school teacher in North Miami Beach, who was a war veteran, and one was a Polish construction guy from Chicago. And I told their stories in the film. I worked with a brilliant filmmaker named Ken Peterson, and the company Home Intensive Care was marketing this new dialysis machine. Was going to show the film at the University of Houston, and I said, I'll do a poster for the premiere of the film.
I was going to ask you if this was a poster. Yeah.
And what did I get from interviewing all these people is that they had hope. And this little 6-year-old girl, I watched her get dialysis, and she's not saying a thing. She's smiling and laughing, you know, and and I said, I know what it is. I reach out because I know the future is my friend. And I did this a limited edition lithograph, and I think there was about 200 or 250 of them done for the premiere, and we gave them out to all the people who attended the film.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I love this piece because it's so simple.
Okay, hold on. We got more stuff here somewhere. Hold on there, Davey. I want to get to more of these faces. Rod Stewart.
So anyway, Alan, you're getting a sense of the bandwidth of everything that I've been involved with for years. I mean, it
I
just
think
covers.
I love it, man. I could sit here and talk to you for hours, actually. It's
Well, that's what it is. I mean, a piece of artwork, is really like a conversation with yourself, right? You're talking to those voices inside your head, and you're really articulating what your dreams are. I mean, commercial art is great. I mean, I love people who are graphic designers, commercial artists. I love people who are successful, commercially.
sure.
But for me, my real pleasure has come. I've had a very successful commercial career in business and doing a lot of interesting things. But it's also given me the chance to do what I want to do now, and I mean, I just do it for me. I explore what I want to explore, and the next phase of my life, who knows where that goes. So that's why I'm doing this, is that I now have the chance where I don't have to really do what anybody
Yeah,
tells me to do.
good. All right, David.
Okay.
All right, these are your many faces. Well, we're going to work on your faces for a while here.
Yeah.
Um, talk to me. Talk to me. That was
So
a picture. You ever see that picture? Talk to me.
yeah. So this it's very interesting because this series is convergent with my life path towards the woman who shares my life now. I mean, I didn't know she existed, but she existed somewhere in other dimensions and in different forms over the years. And part of this journey of art is converge with real life. And I was searching, and one day magic happens, and my art starts to change. But I continue to explore the figure of this woman because I really believe that in life we meet people that we're supposed to meet, either because we've met them before or we're going to meet them later on,
Oh,
and
I
that
agree with
we
you.
exist in a
Absolutely.
variety of dimensions. So this particular pathway is really about exploring that impulse that comes from somewhere very, very mysterious. And it's like writing a poem, or writing a song and playing a melody in innumerable ways. And and this is really jazz art for me. It's an improvisation. When I start something, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to look. And this series of pieces, um, what was exciting for me was I was really liberated by the fact that you could take an iPhone and you could finger paint on an iPhone, and using things like Adobe and painting virtually. Um, I love the brush and I love the pen. What I found out was that like I could make a brush with my finger, and I could do all kinds of things. I could do a marker, I could do a pencil, I could do a thick brush. And so I started doing these things and combining images. And when I went I took a trip to Malaga in Spain to write an article about Ducati motorcycles. And I walked through Malaga, and Malaga is the birthplace of Pablo Picasso. And I
Mhm.
walked through this square, and I said, I want to do a show in this city. I was just enchanted by the light. I was enchanted by the architecture. I was enchanted by the people. And I came up with an idea for a show called Metabolica, which is the metabolism of this the metabolic process of these faces and faces and faces and faces. So I did mock-ups, and this is one mock-up of an installation I would do in the town square. And I've been working on this for about 3 years now. And when I presented to the Center for Contemporary Art in Malaga and say I'd like to do this show, and it's a pop-up show I have in mind, but it's a very ambitious pop-up show. But that's the thing. I mean, I never believe. I never stop believing that I can do the
Well,
thing
do you
that I
think you'll get
imagine.
this
So
finished? Do you think you'll do
you
this?
know what? I mean, God willing, right? There's a saying I learned in the Middle East, inshallah, right? If God wills it, it shall be.
Okay.
So I just put it in the hands of the Creator, and say if it happens, it happens. I don't know if you know the music of John Coltrane, Alan.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but Coltrane for me is I talk about my inspiration. Coltrane is somebody I look at and I go, here's a man who was an incredible saxophone player, could have been very commercially successful, nothing else. And then one day he had a vision, and he said his music was about love, was about God, was about spirituality. And that really said to me in the later stages of my career, I want to do what John Coltrane did. I want to just open myself up and let the spirit move me. And that's the way it is now. It's all about letting the spirit move me.
Well, we're going to move here to this thing here. Hold on. Hold on. Is this out?
Yeah, that's a design that I did. I did a pop-up show in
Oh,
Montreal a couple
okay.
of years ago, and it was called Triage.
But this is recent then.
Yeah, it's about 3 years old.
Okay.
And I did a show called Triage in Montreal with a couple of other Montreal artists. And we did the show at a pop-up gallery in the east end of Montreal to raise money for Battered Women's Center. And I was fascinated by the idea of digital animation. And I did a series of pieces that are storyboards for a digital animation piece. And this is one of them. Again, using that same theme.
These are women?
Yeah,
Okay. Can I ask you a stupid question?
sure.
Did you kind of paint this and fold the paper over?
No, it's all digital work.
Oh, okay. It's amazing. Looks like
Yeah.
one of those, what kind of things am I talking
Like a
about?
Rorschach blot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But-
fascinated by Rorschach. So yeah, I took that and I riffed on that.
Very nice. It looks like female reproductive organs.
It could be a lot of things. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing that's
I
so
see a face
fascinating.
here. I
Yeah,
see some eyes, some pupils up here or whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
very terrific. I love it. There's just like so much in there.
yeah. I mean, that's what's fascinating about digital work. I mean, you can just produce and produce and produce and produce, and you don't have to worry about inventory, right? It's all images that
How
are.
long did this take you to do?
I probably took a drawing I'd done maybe a year or 2 years ago, and I just started playing with it and letting it go where it went. And when I sit down and I start creating a piece, I don't know how much time there is in it. I might be on it for a couple of hours. I might do it, go back to it in a couple of weeks. It's always like there's always something going on in the studio, whether the studio's in your head or there's a physical studio. If you look at any artist studio, you're going to see paintings all over the place, drawings all over the place.
Oh yeah, I know musicians that have a ton of stuff started,
Yeah,
halfway finished, almost finished, just started.
yeah.
This is your little scrapbook. Is this a scrapbook?
Well, this is a book that I started doing, working with a rapper who's from Montreal, born in Haiti, Patrick Joseph. And Patrick is a brilliant composer, musician, and we were working on a theme which we haven't completed yet, called Goody, about Haitian voodoo. And I've always been fascinated by voodoo. And what
Voodoo.
it was, there was a film made called The Divine Horsemen, the Voodoo Gods of Haiti, by a Russian artist named Maya Deren back in the late 40s. And she inspired Joseph Campbell, who wrote that very famous book about myths and heroes. And
David, I'm going to have to
Hero's Journey.
interrupt you for something.
Sure.
And I'm sorry. I mean, you're on a roll, and I hate to interrupt you. We're just about finished. What I want to do, you have a website that people can come and take a look at your work, give it out.
Not yet. I'm on Facebook, as you know, so people can come and find me and find the artworks on Facebook.
David Morris.
I'm getting, yeah.
Okay.
So just check me out on Facebook.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please check out my man David Morris. The guy just is a great human being, very, very talented, and actually a very smart gentleman too. And David, it's been a real pleasure, man. I love it. And
Alan,
I love
thank
you, man.
brother. Thank you,
It's been
brother.
great. We're going to see you
blessing.
again. I want to do one more with you sometime in
We
the
will.
near future. All right, bro?
All right, my
This
man.
thing edited, and you'll have a copy of it. And again, thank you for being in my place. David, you're at your place. And maybe
This is our place.
maybe we'll meet.
Thanks to the brilliant Daniel St. Furman for his technical wizardry.
He thanks you. My man is the best. And maybe we'll meet at the same place one of these days.
You got it. Namaste, brother.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Take care. Ciao for now.